What if Harley Davidson stop making parts for your motorcycle? What? Let's get into it. RevelatorAlf. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So again, this is another question that comes through on my website occasionally when I talk about the level of service that Harley Davidson as a motor company they provide to you as an existing customer. So one of the questions was, what about if the company do not make parts for your motorcycle anymore? So I suppose we could say, rest assured that if they don't make any parts for your motorcycle anymore, any Screaming Eagle parts or even replacement parts, there are many suppliers of aftermarket parts out there, which I'm sure you'll be able to find something that will fit. Also, you can say, right, okay, well, if there aren't any new parts coming out from Harley Davidson, let's say, then we can always get into used bikes, buy those for donor parts and so on and so forth. Manufacturers have a responsibility to provide parts to all their motorcycle models. I believe it's after a 10-year or a 15-year discontinuance of that model as well. It really depends on which country and which market you're operating in. However, let's just say that Harley Davidson, for whatever reason, stopped producing motorcycle parts. Let's say they went bankrupt for whatever reason. Well, there's always going to be a store, a cache of these parts as well. And until that runs out, then there'll always be some available. There'll probably be some company who will buy up all those stock parts and then they'll start selling them. But as I say, if you need parts for your bike, let's say it's a much older bike, then you're going to start looking at donor vehicles for all those parts. Because if nobody's supplying those parts and you can't get aftermarket parts, let's say you just want stock parts, then you're going to have to look at a donor part. It's as simple as that. Now, is this a reality? Would Harley Davidson suddenly stop making parts? No, absolutely not. But as a topic of discussion, yes. I mean, this is what kind of things would happen. Have motorcycle companies gone bankrupt? Yes, they did. I mean, the latest one that I could think of was Norton before they got bought out again. And yeah, there's a hell of a time of getting parts and having issues fixed with those bikes. However, Norton parts were still available for those existing motorcycles still being ridden. Now, if there aren't for whatever reason, then yes, people will then tend to either make their own parts or copy parts or have parts made bespokely, let's say. So things can be done, especially if there's a need and necessity for it where there aren't any parts from the aftermarket world or there aren't any OEM parts available anywhere. So, this kind of thing does happen from time to time. If you look at anybody with a really old motorcycle, that's essentially what they're doing. They're either buying a donor bike, they're looking at really old parts that they can maybe refurbish, or they're looking to manufacture those parts or have one-off parts made, machined somewhere. They have the tolerance, they have the spec, and they say, right, I'm going to have this part made for me by a machinist or something. Most people with the skills can make stuff. I mean, you might need specific skills in terms of like a company that has a foundry or something, or machinist skills, with lathes and milling machines or CNC machines, whatever it is. There's going to be some design info data that they can work off, or you can give them the old part, let's say, and then they can make another part as well. But again, that is a very small percentage of people who will ever need to do that. Most people can just use donor parts off donor bikes, old bikes. You go to the scrapyard, let's say, and you'll find wrecked bikes, wrecked vehicles, and you can say, well, I want that part, and so on and so forth. But most people will still be able to find either aftermarket parts or OEM parts from storehouses, let's say. And it really depends where you are in the world, where your OEM supplier would be, and what parts you would need to get. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. It's an interesting discussion to have, and certainly an interesting question that comes through on the website from time to time. But say, if they suddenly stop making parts, there would still be parts available. However, there might be different pathways in being able to get those parts for your bike. And also, it really depends on the age of that bike as well. Hope you found that useful. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. And I'll catch you again. Leave us your comments below. Ta-ra.